Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Walder, and today my specific purpose is to persuade my audience to see that medical marijuana can be beneficial to all and be an option other than prescription medication. Before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my audience to you. I got Garrett, Josh, and I got Brandon behind the camera. A little introduction, I got a video clip that shows a woman using medical marijuana as a treatment option and how it's impacted her disease. So I hope you enjoy it.
Hey everyone, I'm Melissa Caverly. This is Newsbreaker. Jacqueline Patterson suffers a severe stutter and major pain on her right side caused by the cerebral palsy she's been suffering since birth. After failed attempts at treatment, Patterson sought out herbal remedies herself. She found that cannabis takes away her pain and greatly reduces her stutter. Just watch.
In a severe stutter. After about the third hit is when I began to feel the tension dissipate.
Her relief originally came with consequences, living in fear that illegally purchasing weed would land her in jail and unable to take care of her children. She has since moved to California and recently won a court case arguing in defense of the drug for medicinal purposes.
While the video you saw displayed the relief seen by Jacqueline Patterson, many people in our society do not view this as a legal treatment option. Unfortunately, many diseases in the U.S. are treated with prescription medication. While many are able to find comfort using these prescription medications, there is inherent danger in these. The first thing to look at is the fact that the prescription medication industry is an industry. So for them to make more money, they need to continuously prescribe more medication to more people. The deadliest of these prescription medications falls into the opiate category. Figures from the CDC show that overdose deaths from prescription opioid abuse has quadrupled since 1999. Also alarming is the fact that the sales of these have also quadrupled since 1999. Unfortunately, overdosing on these medications is not the only risk facing people using them. Information gathered from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration shows that in 2014, 2 million people were treated for abuse of opioids in America. To look at that in a more meaningful way, possibly, over 1,000 people a day are treated in emergency room departments for the abuse of opioid medications. In contrast, marijuana is much safer on both fronts as far as emergency department visits and deaths contributed to the drug itself. Though emergency room visits have increased slightly in states where marijuana has been legalized, Colorado being an example, rates there went from 739 to 956 out of every 100,000 visits. Many theorize this has to do with the fact that many people are now self-reporting the use of marijuana because it's legal, whereas before the legalization, they just didn't self-report, so your numbers, of course, went up. As far as reported deaths due to marijuana, research done by Dr. Robert Gable recorded no deaths from marijuana. The following is a quote from his research. He said, "I found no published cases in the English language that document deaths from smoked marijuana, so the actual lethal dose is a mystery." Also, this is backed by the United States DEA on their drug fact sheets on marijuana. They have no recorded deaths from overdose from marijuana. After looking at the safety impacts of marijuana versus prescription medication, I think it's key to look at the wide-ranging uses of marijuana in the medical industry. Currently, only 2 of the cannabinoids found in marijuana are of real medical interest. These are THC and CBD. THC is used to treat nausea and increased appetite. The FDA's 2 medicines approved that use THC are dronabinol and nabilone, and they are used for these purposes. THC may also decrease pain, inflammation, and muscle control. CBD, also a cannabinoid, it does not affect the mind or any kind of behavior, and it is useful in reducing pain, inflammation, controlling epileptic seizures, and possibly even treating mental illness and addiction. Though groundbreaking work is being done on the front of marijuana in the medical community, much more research is needed to validate these findings and bring their uses forward to the public. An example of such research is some done by scientists at St. George's University in London. A recent animal study there showed that marijuana extract helped to kill certain cancer cells and also reduce the growth of others. Also, evidence collected suggested that purified extracts from the whole marijuana plant itself were able to slow the growth of cancer cells from an aggressive type of brain cancer. Additionally, research in mice showed that the purified extracts of THC and CBD, when combined with the use of radiation, actually greatly impacted the cancer-killing effects of the radiation itself. Along with this work, there's work focusing on helping conditions related to the autoimmune diseases like HIV, MS, and Alzheimer's. Also in this field, they're focusing on treating us, like I said before, substance abuse disorders and mental health disorders. Before I conclude this speech, I actually want to show you guys some graphs that I've put together to kind of sum this information up and give you a better idea. On my first graph here, this graph right here, it shows the danger of popular drugs. I want to really focus on 3 categories on this chart to give you an idea of how marijuana ranks compared to the other drugs. The first category is dependence. As you can see, the higher the number, the more dependent on the drug you are. Nicotine ranks the highest at 6, with heroin at 5, alcohol at 3, and marijuana at 1. If you look at withdrawal, nicotine's at 4, heroin's at 5, alcohol's at 6, and again marijuana falls at 1. Finally, looking at the tolerance measure, meaning the more you use, the more that is required for the same effect. Nicotine's at 5, heroin is at 6, alcohol is at 4, and again marijuana is at 1. While nicotine and alcohol are clearly legal, you see how much more dependent you become on these drugs. Though I didn't touch heroin in the subject, heroin is considered an opioid, much like the prescription medication itself. So opioid medication falls similar to the category of heroin. As you can see, marijuana is by far the safest of any of the ones listed. On my second graph here, this one shows the ratio of fatal doses compared to that of an effective dose. The effective dose would just be how much of the substance you would need to get the desired effect. So as you can see, marijuana is at the very top of the list, so you would need over 1,000 times the effective dose for it to be fatal. And there's no real consensus on what the actual dose of marijuana would be to kill you. It's almost impossible to find out. As you can see, if you go down to where alcohol, it only takes 10 times the effective dose to be fatal. And then again, heroin's even lower at that. It takes 5 times more than the effective dose to be fatal. Again, heroin being classified as an opioid, so similar degree as far as opioid medication. Finally, my last graph here is from the CDC, and it depicts changes in overdose rates from 2014 to 2015, and it kind of breaks it down regionally. As you can see, in every place in the U.S. has increased except for the West. The West has the largest rate of legalized marijuana use, so that's possibly a contributing factor. Pretty alarming here is, as you can see, the South is by far the highest, so that, hopefully if we were able to legalize marijuana more throughout, I really feel like it could contribute to lowering these numbers. In conclusion, I want to go ahead and thank all you guys for listening, and hopefully I've sparked your interest in this subject and make you do a little more research. So thank you for your time.